In Argentina, Mendoza is often synonymous with endless vineyards and Malbec. One imagines a peaceful city, a garden city, where gentleness and the art of living are core principles. Nestled beneath the foothills of the Andes, behind this cliché of a verdant province, lies a very different reality. What strikes you immediately is the startling contrast between the spectacular aridity of the Andes Mountains and the defiant greenery of the fertile oases that line National Route 7. Heading north, this road follows the traces of the ancient Inca Trail. It bears witness to human ingenuity, from the first irrigation networks of the indigenous Warpay people to modern hydroelectric dams, by way of the epic era of the Transandean Railway. Having come to spend a week here, we quickly realized that this province had much more to offer than its renowned cellars. This is what we invite you to discover.
Before the arrival of the Spanish, the Warpays, a farming people, inhabited the region. They traded with the Incas and had already tamed the desert through a sophisticated system of canals diverting snowmelt.
Founded in 1561 by Spanish conquistadors coming from Chile, Mendoza remained tied to its Transandean neighbor for over 2 centuries.
During the South American Wars of Independence, the city became the base for General San Martin. It was from here that his army set off on a titanic crossing of the Andes. 5,000 men and 10,000 mules launched in the conquest of freedom.
In the year 1861, a catastrophic earthquake devastated the city, but now Mendoza literally rose from its ashes.
If General San Martin Park is its lungs, Plaza de la Independencia and the pedestrianized Sarmiento Street are its beating heart. You can stroll between leather craft shops and prestigious wine displays, not forgetting the Pasaje San Martin, whose French stained glass windows testify to the city's elegance. But watch your step. Along the sidewalks snake the acequias. While these trenches can be traps for the inattentive, they are the vital arteries of the town. This ancestral network waters the thousands of trees that protect the city from the scorching sun. Here, a fountain with blood-red water reminds us that wine is the lifeblood of this land.
Heading for Lujan de Cuyo, the country of Malbec. This is where man has tamed the desert. The Warpay people had already paved the way with their canals, but today technology has taken over. While old estates still practice riego por manto, flood irrigation, newer vineyards favor drip irrigation to save water, which has become scarce with the retreat of glaciers. We deliberately chose to skip the Malbec in favor of bubbles.
In 1959, the prestigious House of Moet and Chandon chose Mendoza for its first expansion outside of France.
Visiting the Chandon Bodega is a unique opportunity to discover the history of Champagne. Various tour options, with or without snacks, are available. We waited for the start of the tour in a setting both rustic and refined, tasting delicious empanadas accompanied by a selection of sparkling wines whose quality rivals that of their French cousins.
On part à 15h30, c'est ça?
Oui, la visite est à 15h30.
Here, Chandon produces about 10 sparkling wines, such as the classic Brut and Extra Brut, as well as more recent diversifications into festive and accessible rosé products. The cellar tour is a chance to learn more about the history of Champagne and what makes its production different from traditional wines. The story of Champagne is a series of miracles and intuitions. In the 17th century, the monk Dom Perignon paradoxically sought to eliminate bubbles, a sign of poorly controlled fermentation, then known as the devil's wine, because the bottles would explode. Upon tasting a surviving bottle, he discovered the magic of effervescence. However, the suspended yeast gave it an unappealing look. A century later, the widow Clicquot, Veuve Clicquot, revolutionized the process. To eliminate the milky yeast sediment, she invented the riddling table, table de remouage, by drilling holes in her own kitchen table. By tilting the bottles upside down, she concentrated the impurities toward the cork. At the time, lacking freezers, snow from Champagne winters was used to freeze the neck. A stroke of a saber allowed the ice plug of sediment to be expelled, releasing a wine that was finally pure and crystal clear.
Por supuesto, todo este proceso hay muchos controles de calidad para ver que la levadura se congele bien, que salga y que quede un espumante bien limpio.
The visit ends with a convivial tasting.
The two grape varieties used in production are Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
An exception is made for the rosés, which incorporate a small percentage of Malbec for color.
The next day, National Route 7 takes us toward the summits. The road running alongside the Mendoza River winds through passes, tunnels, and rock faces.
Cacheuta, lea Cacheuta. Y la estación termal.
We make our first stop to drink mate and enjoy the view of the Cacheuta thermal station.
C'est trop bon.
This is where snow melt water that has seeped into the Earth's crust resurfaces, heated to 50 degrees by the planet's core and laden with minerals like sulfur, calcium, and magnesium. Many visitors come here to treat joint pain and skin diseases, or simply to enjoy the water park. Nearby, two parallel bridges stacked on top of each other are vestiges of a not-so-distant past. The 1891 brick railway bridge, once used by the Transandean train, and the 1952 suspension bridge. A little further on, we pass the imposing Potrerillos Dam. Completed in 2001, this giant regulates the river that waters the region and provides 20% of the province's electricity. After a final tunnel, Potrerillos Lake reveals its turquoise waters. This crystal mirror hides a secret. Beneath its surface lies the old village of Potrerillos, submerged by the waters in 1999, a sacrifice of the past to ensure the future through the dam. All along the banks, travelers can find numerous rest areas and welcoming tables to admire the view. Today, the lakeshore is a paradise for kitesurfers and nature lovers. In a region that respects its environment, signs invite visitors to leave no trace of their passing. We take a detour through the village of Potrerillos to buy some supplies and have a picnic by the lake, staying warm inside the car. Leaving Potrerillos Lake, the landscape becomes increasingly impressive. The road still follows the riverbed. For thrill seekers, the Mendoza River offers memorable rafting trips in the heart of steep canyons. The multicolored ochre geological layers bear witness to the colossal pressures that lifted the Andes. We constantly cross the rusted rails of the Ferrocaril Transandino. This vital link between Argentina and Chile was inaugurated in 1910 after 20 years of very difficult construction. It closed in 1984 after 70 years of operation, a victim of road transport, political tensions between the two countries, and maintenance costs generated by frequent landslides. A silent witness to this golden age, the ghost village of Guido, with its abandoned railway station, seems to still be waiting for the whistle of a steam locomotive. As we approach Uspallata, we witness a radical change in scenery. After endless stone deserts, lush vegetation takes over again, and endless colonnades of poplars welcome us. Located at an altitude of 1,900 meters, the Uspallata Plateau was part of the Inca Empire's road network, and the valley served as a link between Cusco and the southernmost territories of the empire. When European immigrants gradually replaced the indigenous farming tribes, they inherited their irrigation networks. This infrastructure allowed them to import hundreds of poplars, or alamos, which let them recreate the familiar landscapes they had left behind. Today, poplars are inseparable from Uspallata's identity.
After settling comfortably into our accommodation, we set off for a long walk on the Way of the Cross promenade. This beautiful trail overlooking the town offers a magnificent panorama of this green oasis protected by the immensity of the Cordillera.
We arrived out of season, and in the evening, despite our willingness to party, few dining options were open.
On the advice of our hostess, we finally opted for the delicious artisanal takeaway pasta from My Pastas Caseras.
Sí, recién terminamos de hacer, ¿vio? Hacemos raviolones, capeletis, ñoquis, sorrentinos.
Wow. ¿Viste?
Con boloñesa, fideos al huevo y tenemos el espinaca con pollo.
La espinaca con pollo, sí. Muchas gracias.
No, gracias a usted.
Bueno, encantado. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias.
Adiós. Adiós.
Lost in the pitch black of the night, we had a little trouble finding Mai's house, but it was worth the effort and we thoroughly enjoyed the delicious pasta.
En Argentina, ¿viste? 2 porciones de pasta con la salsa de pollo y salsa de bolognese. 15,000.
The next day, we leave Uspallata, heading for Puente del Inca. This final stretch of National Route 7 offers spectacular panoramas, consistent with the grandiose landscapes that have accompanied us since Mendoza. Passing through here, we imagine the effort required to cross the Andes for the 5,000 men and 10,000 mules of the Liberation Army that General San Martin had gathered in Mendoza to liberate Chile from the Spanish Empire. As we approach the Chilean border, we pass the ski resorts of Los Penitentes and Los Puquillos, 2 villages whose activity now suffers cruelly from a lack of snow, silent witnesses to climate change. At 2,700 meters above sea level, we finally reach Puente del Inca. This natural bridge, carved by time and petrified by water laden with sulfur and iron, displays almost supernatural orange hues. Far more than a geological curiosity, this place already occupied a central role in the Inca Empire. The bridge was a crucial stop on the Capacñan, the great imperial road connecting the capital, Cusco, to the center of what is now Chile. Spanning the Las Cuevas River, it was a vital crossing point for the Chasquis, imperial messengers, and moving armies. For the Incas, these springs were sacred, direct emanations from Pachamama, Mother Earth. The elite came from afar to treat skin ailments or joint pain. This site was what is called a huaca, a sanctuary where the imperial road, thermal treatments, and religious devotion met. Legend even has it that the Inca himself traveled from Cusco to immerse himself in these sulfurous waters. Centuries later, the arrival of the Transandean Railway brought world renown back to the site. Between the late 19th century and the 1950s, Puente del Inca became a luxury thermal resort, a symbol of progress and elegance. In the early 20th century, a monumental hotel complex was built. Imagine, over 100 rooms, a casino, billiard rooms, and even a library in the heart of the Andes. Comfort was absolute. Each room had heating fueled by the thermal springs, while at the foot of the bridge, bathrooms, still visible today, were built directly into the rock. During the Roaring '20s, Argentine high society flocked there to take the waters and savor the mountain air. But the mountain always eventually reclaims its rights. On August 15, 1965, history stopped abruptly. A massive avalanche from Mount Banderitas pulverized the hotel. Miraculously, only the bridge and the small chapel of Nuestra Señora de las Nieves, protected by a shift in the terrain, remain standing.
Today, the site is an essential tourist stop on National Route 7. One encounters artisans offering objects made of semi-precious stones and cozy sweaters made of vicuña and alpaca wool. On the way back to Mendoza, we treat ourselves to one last contemplative stop on the shores of Potrerillos Lake.
For our last day in Mendoza, we step into the shoes of gauchos. Just minutes from Mendoza, the Cabalgatas El Rincon farm offers rides whose program can be tailored to your expectations, from a few hours stroll in the Sierra to multi-day expeditions in the Andes. We are welcomed by Cesar, the owner. With the help of his family, he transformed part of his agricultural farm to share his passion with visitors. Without losing a moment, we mount up. Hallie gets to know her horse, Carlota.
Y Carlota, ¿qué te parece tu nueva jineta?
¿Está cómodo ahí? Sí. A ver, afloje el pie. Ahí. Ahora como es. Ya soy el otro. Está bien, ¿no? ¿Sí? ¿Está bien ese? Sí. Pero la mano más atrás. Ahí. Ahí. Ok. Si le afloja las piernas. Sí. Si no se le va a ir para atrás el caballo. Sí.
Crossing rivers and hills on horseback is the ultimate way to soak up the soul of Mendoza. An experience that often ends, as it should, with a traditional asado around the fire. Mendoza is much more than a wine province. It is a generous destination of raw beauty, sculpted by water, time, and history.